AI. It's everywhere you look these days, right? But between you and me, how much of it is just hype? And how much is the real deal?
That's what we're diving into today. We're going deeper than your average AI for beginners article. Because, honestly, who isn't at least a little AI curious these days?
Our source material today, excerpts from Simple Learn's What is Artificial Intelligence and Why It Matters in 2024.
They've basically taken a whole AI course and crammed it into, well, a really interesting overview, and we're about to make it even more digestible.
But I gotta admit, some of the stuff already has my head spinning. Like, do you know AI can beat humans at some pretty complex games now?
And the economic impact, whoa, we're talking potentially trillions of dollars.
It's definitely more than just those AI art generators everyone's talking about, right?
Right, those are pretty wild.
Yeah.
But what gets me is there are different types of AI. I thought it was all just like one thing.
It can seem that way for sure.
So where do we even start?
Well, I think a lot of people hear AI and they immediately think of like super intelligent robots or something.
Okay, yeah, I'm guilty of that.
But it's good to ground ourselves a bit, you know?
Back to basics.
Exactly. So Simply Learn kicks things off with a pretty straightforward definition. AI is all about machines that can mimic human intelligence. Learning, reasoning, problem solving, that whole shebang.
So basically, we're trying to bottle up human smarts and pour them into machines.
Kind of,
Yeah.
except as Simply Learn points out, a lot of what we're seeing right now is what's called weak AI. It's like specialized intelligence.
Specialized how?
Think of your phone assistant. It can set reminders, tell you the weather, maybe even crack a dad joke or two.
Mine's gotten pretty good at those, actually.
But it's not going to start debating the meaning of life anytime soon.
So you're saying my smart speaker isn't going to have an existential crisis? That's oddly comforting.
Exactly. And that's what differentiates it from what's called strong AI or artificial general intelligence, if you want to get fancy.
Which is it? Don't leave me hanging.
That's the kind of AI that could truly think and learn like a human across a whole bunch of different tasks. And that's where things get really interesting, but also a lot more theoretical.
Okay, so totally different levels of AI. Got it. But how does any of this actually work? Like, Simply Learn uses the example of deep learning to sort photos. For those of us who can barely code our way out of a paper bag, how does a computer even begin to do that?
Imagine you're trying to teach a computer to recognize a cat in a photo, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
With deep learning, it's not just about telling the computer, look for whiskers and a tail. It's about feeding it tons and tons of cat photos.
Like all of the internet's cat pictures.
Pretty much. And the AI starts analyzing those images layer by layer, looking for patterns, connections, things that even we might not consciously pick up on.
So it's going beyond the obvious, like, does it have 4 legs?
Yeah.
It's figuring out the very essence of catness from a bunch of pixels.
Precisely. Think of it like this deep learning uses something called a neural network, which is kind of like a simplified version of the human brain. And this network has different layers.
Layers, like a cake.
Even better. You have an input layer where the raw data goes in this case, our cat photo. Then you have hidden layers where all the magic happens, the analysis, the pattern recognition. And finally, you have the output layer where the AI tells us what it sees.
So each pixel is a piece of data, and those hidden layers are like, this pixel's fluffy, this one's curved. Maybe, just maybe, it's a cat's nose.
You got it. And the more cat photos it processes, the better it gets at spotting those subtle patterns. That's the learning part of deep learning.
Like AI boot camp, but for cat pictures. Which, knowing the internet, is probably a real thing. But seriously, this deep learning thing, it's got to be doing more than just identifying cats, right?
Oh, absolutely. Deep learning is behind everything from self-driving cars to language translation, even medical diagnoses. It's all about recognizing patterns and making decisions based on massive amounts of data.
Which is kind of amazing, but also a little intimidating when you really think about it.
Definitely powerful stuff.
And Simply Learn doesn't stop there. They go on to break down different types of AI. And this is where it really starts to feel like we're stepping into a sci-fi movie.
Right. We've got weak versus strong AI, but then they get even more granular, purely reactive, limited memory, theory of mind, and self-aware AI.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. Self-aware AI. Are we talking Skynet here?
Not quite yet. Remember, it's a spectrum of possibilities.
Okay, that's a relief. But walk me through it.
So the most basic type is purely reactive. Think of a chess program. It analyzes your moves, but it doesn't remember past games. It's just reacting to the current situation.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about limited memory? I feel like I could use more of that sometimes.
Well, limited memory AI actually does have some ability to learn from past data, like our photo sorting example. It can remember patterns and apply them to new situations.
Okay, getting a little more sophisticated. But then there's this theory of mind thing. That's where it starts to get really sci-fi, right?
It's definitely where things get very interesting. We're talking about machines that could potentially understand that other beings have thoughts, beliefs, emotions, that we don't all see the world in the exact same way.
So, like, my Roomba isn't going to start leaving me passive-aggressive notes about my cleaning habits anytime soon.
Probably not, though it's a funny thought. But seriously, that ability to understand and respond to human emotions, that's a level of social intelligence that AI hasn't quite cracked yet.
And probably for the best, at least
Yeah.
for now. But then there's that last category, the one that really grabbed my attention. Self-aware AI.
Ah, yes, the big one.
Simply Learn actually mentions this. That's when we're in full-blown Black Mirror territory, right?
Yeah.
Machines that are conscious, aware of their own existence.
That's the idea, but it's still very much in the realm of speculation. We're talking about AI that not only understands human consciousness, but possesses its own. It's the kind of AI we see in movies. Fascinating, but still a long way off, if it's even possible.
Okay, good to know. I don't need to start hiding from my toaster just yet.
Not just yet.
But even without sentient robots running around, AI is clearly having a huge impact already. Simply Learn lists a ton of real-world applications. And it's not just the obvious stuff like self-driving cars.
Right. We already talked about personalized recommendations, which use AI to analyze your data and predict what you might like, from movies to music to online shopping suggestions. But it goes even further. Think about fraud detection systems that protect your credit card information, spam filters that keep your inbox clean.
Even those Snapchat filters that turn you into a talking dog.
Exactly. AI is working behind the scenes in so many aspects of our lives, often without us even realizing it.
It's like a silent revolution happening right under our noses. It's only going to get more integrated into our lives as time goes on.
Absolutely. Think about the potential in healthcare alone. AI could help us diagnose diseases earlier, develop more personalized treatments, even assist with surgeries.
Wow, AI doctors, AI surgeons. What's next? AI podcast hosts who are actually funny.
Now that's a scary thought.
Just kidding. Sort of. But you're right, this technology has the potential to revolutionize almost every aspect of our lives,
Right.
and we're only just scratching the surface.
And with that potential comes a whole lot of big questions, ethical dilemmas, social implications.
Yeah, Simply Learn touches on a big one, job displacement. AI is already automating tasks that used to be done by humans, and that's something we definitely can't ignore.
It is a tricky situation, no doubt. It's not like AI is all doom and gloom, right?
Right.
There's this incredible potential to make our lives easier, solve problems we thought were impossible. Who knows, maybe AI will even help us cure diseases someday.
I'm all for that,
But we can't just ignore the potential downsides either. The impact on the job market is a big one.
for sure. So how do we balance those two things, the excitement and the uncertainty?
It's not about panicking, that's for sure. It's about adapting, evolving alongside the technology, just like we've always done.
Okay, so adapt and evolve. Got it.
Yeah.
But how? You have practical tips.
Well, Simply Learn dives into the whole world of AI certifications, the booming demand for AI professionals.
So is everyone listening supposed to run out and learn to code now? Should I dig out my old computer science textbook?
Coding is definitely a valuable skill in the AI world, but it's not the only path. It's not like everyone needs to become a coding whiz overnight.
So it's not all about the tech skills.
Exactly. We're talking about a whole ecosystem of roles here. Researchers, data analysts, even ethicists. They all have a place in the AI landscape.
Hold on, ethicists.
Yeah.
Now that's not a job I would have pictured alongside all the AI engineers.
It's becoming more and more important. As AI gets more sophisticated, more integrated into our lives, we need people thinking about the ethical implications.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, for one, there's the issue of bias in algorithms. Like, if the data used to train an AI is flawed, the AI's decisions could be biased too.
Oh, right. I've heard about that. Like facial recognition systems that are better at recognizing certain demographics.
Exactly. And that raises all sorts of questions about fairness, discrimination. That's where ethicists come in. They help us navigate those tricky waters.
So it's not just about the technical nuts and bolts of AI, it's about the human element too.
Mhm.
Simply Learn touches on that, but it feels like we could do a whole other deep dive just on the ethics of AI.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something everyone should be thinking about, not just the experts.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, maybe even a little scared, What's your advice? How do we approach this whole AI thing without freaking out?
The first step is simple. Be curious.
Curiosity didn't kill the cat.
Not this time. Seriously,
Oh.
don't be afraid to dive in, learn, experiment. There are so many resources out there, online courses, communities. Find what interests you and explore it.
Embrace that lifelong learner mindset, right?
Exactly. Because this field is constantly evolving. What we know today might be old news tomorrow.
No kidding.
The key is to be adaptable, stay informed, and be open to the unknown. We're really just at the beginning of this AI revolution.
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. We've gone from the very basics, what AI is and how it works,
To the different types of AI.
the potential benefits, the risks, the ethical dilemmas.
Even some career advice.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
That's the truth. So, to everyone listening, we want to hear from you.
Yes. Join the conversation.
What are your thoughts on the future of AI? Are you excited, nervous, somewhere in between? Hit us up on social media, use the hashtag #DeepDiveAI, and tell us what resonated with you.
And if you want to dive even deeper into the topics we discussed today, you'll find links to the Simply Learn articles and all sorts of other cool resources in our show notes.
And don't forget to tune in next week for another deep dive. We'll be switching gears completely. A little less artificial intelligence, a little more chocolate.
That sounds intriguing.
It is. Until next time, keep exploring.
It is a tricky situation. It's not all doom and gloom. There's this incredible potential to make our lives easier, solve problems we thought were impossible.
Maybe even cure diseases, right?
Exactly. Who knows what AI will be able to do someday?
So much potential.
But we can't just ignore those potential downsides either. Like we were saying, the impact on the job market, that's a big one.
Yeah, no kidding. So how do we balance those two things? All the good stuff, the excitement, with all the unknowns, and let's be honest, some of the fear.
I don't think it's about panicking, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
It's about adapting, just like we've always done as humans, evolving alongside technology. It's not new.
Right. We figured out how to survive the invention of the wheel.
Exactly.
Okay, but this time feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how do we adapt to something like this?
Well, Simply Learn talks about AI certifications, how the demand for AI professionals is just exploding right now.
Right. So does everyone listening need to, go out and learn to code tomorrow?
Coding is valuable, for sure, but it's not the only answer. It's a whole ecosystem. Think researchers, data analysts.
Okay, different roles. Got it. Not everyone's building the robot.
Oh, exactly. And here's one that might surprise you. Ethicists.
Wait, ethicists? That's an AI job now.
More and more so, because as AI gets more powerful, more integrated into our lives, we need people thinking about the ethical implications of all this.
Give me an example.
Well, take algorithmic bias. Like, if the data used to train an AI is flawed, the AI's decisions could be biased too.
Oh, right. I think I read about that. Like with facial recognition systems.
Exactly. And that raises all sorts of questions about fairness, discrimination. It's not so simple anymore. That's where ethicists come in, helping us figure out those really complex issues.
So it's not just the tech stuff, it's the human side of AI that we need to figure out. Man, Simply Learned only scratches the surface of this, but it feels like a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating and critical area.
Okay, so for anyone listening who might be feeling a little overwhelmed, maybe even a bit intimidated by all of this AI talk, what's your advice? How do we approach all this without freaking out?
The first step is simple. Be curious.
Curiosity didn't kill the cat, right?
Not this time. Don't be afraid to dive in, to learn, experiment. There's so much out there. Online courses, communities. Find what sparks your interest and explore.
Love that. Embrace that lifelong learner mentality.
Exactly. What we know today might be old news tomorrow. That's how fast this field is moving.
That's AI for you.
Right. The key is to be adaptable, stay informed, and be open to the unknown.
Because we really are just at the beginning of this whole AI revolution, aren't we?
Just the beginning. It's an exciting time.
It really is. And on that note, we want to hear from you, our listeners.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on all of this? Are you riding the AI hype wave? A little freaked out? Somewhere in between?
Don't be shy.
Head over to social media, use the hashtag #DeepDiveAI, and tell us what resonated with you. You want to hear from you.
And of course, if you want to explore any of the topics we discussed in more depth, we'll have links to the Simply Learn articles and all sorts of other cool resources in our show notes.
And don't forget to tune in next week for a brand new deep dive. We'll be switching gears completely. A little less artificial intelligence, a little more chocolate.
Oh, now that's something I can get behind.
Right. Until then, keep exploring.